Well, I grew up initially in a family that wasn't very church involved, and then got involved in my early stages of puberty in the Pentecostal church, so I was exposed to all that goodness. But I definitely knew at that time that was not, that did not fit my personality at all. So I'm not a speaking in tongues and laying on the ground kind of guy,
But you do like to dance, right?
Yeah, I do like to dance. But after that, I think we were in that church 3 years maybe, and after that, largely nothing involving any kind of church or religion, or there was always the like a nominal belief in God, I guess. If something special or something bad happened, it's like you see around nowadays, oh, we're going to pray for you. There was never any, So just good things to say to people, pretty much. Yeah, and I guess like up until like after high school into my early 20s, I was largely lost in a lot of ways. I had a deep sense, a sense deep down in myself that God was real, and that Jesus was real, that all these things that I remember from my childhood were, they were a reality. I mean, I could never put my hands or finger on what made me feel that way, but I did like most other kids do, go off, gotta sow your oats and whatnot, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But that obviously led me down the wrong path, and in 2008, this was by far the biggest change, I think, in my life. I had a car accident. I was intoxicated, and 2 people's lives were lost on a motorcycle. And shortly after that, I was in prison for what I thought was going to be forever. But it ended up being, I was to serve a 10-year sentence, all of which I served 6.5. But while I was in there, as a lot of people do, I guess, in times of great trauma and need and stuff, I was searching for God while I was there, which was, for me, was a really good thing. My focus was on a whole set of different things than it was beforehand, I guess. But while I was in there, while I was in prison, I mean, I ran through the gamut of just so many different styles and forms, and if there's a type of Christianity that you can name, it was in there, and everybody was a part of at least one of it, one little sect or denomination or anything like that. And I do like a lot of people nowadays. I ended up going the Reformed route with Calvinism and stuff like that, just for a little while, I think. And then I figured out that it was a little too harsh for me. I couldn't, because there were some real hardliners in there, which is kind of weird, I guess. Then the other people that are propagating it in prison, it doesn't look so good for the elect. But no, I actually had a friend in the prison library, and he had actually attended seminary while he was in prison. It was a Baptist seminary, but and through there he had learned about Orthodoxy, and I was actually going to lunch one day, and we saw the flyer that you had put out for the church history class, and I had already been very interested in history and stuff like that. I was in my journey through Calvinism and stuff like that. It was going older and older as it's like, okay, what was the beginning of this? What was before this? It's always going backward. And he was like, yeah, man, the Orthodox are really cool. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's check it out. And so I started going to the class, and that was I think he started in 2011. Yeah. And there's where I found the truth. All the I's were dotted and the T's were crossed, and all the history it came together for me. I mean, there was a bunch of truth that I'd gotten out of all of the other little aspects that I explored, but it all culminated in this, and it all came together, and I knew it. It wasn't a year later, and I was chrismated, and ever since then, it's been my life. It's been my life here, and it's been really freeing for me in a lot of ways, coming from, I guess, my own ways that I handle guilt and shame, and the ways that being in the Reform thing, that's what drew me or scared me away from that completely, is I didn't need any more of that. But ever since I've been in the church, and like when I was in prison, I'd never even seen the inside of a church, so it was all just reading the books. It was praying the prayers. It was coming to the services that you would bring in for us, and it was all beautiful. And you get out, and it's like, oh, this is where it's at, Being inside of the church I've been Orthodox almost 10 years now, and it's kind of hard to believe. But it feels like there's so much more room for me to grow. It's not, I guess this is the only way to really say it, is like, it's okay for me to mess up in a lot of ways. And I think I need to know that. I need to be continually need to know that. And that's when I pray and when I talk with God, and and when I come to church and I come to liturgy and stuff like that. That's how I feel. It's like, this is where you need to be. This is where you're going to be healed. This is where, in a sense, it doesn't matter that you messed up. God's love is here. All the people are here, representing the kingdom of heaven. And that's what it is. I've had so many ups and downs, and especially these past couple of years have been really rough. This is home. This is my home. I can't see myself anywhere else. I wouldn't even want to think about going anywhere else. It just doesn't make sense anymore. I love the people. There's not anything I couldn't say that I don't love about being here. Especially at St. Innocent, because when I was in Atlanta for a little while, I was able to go to St. John, the Wonder Workers, and it had its own, home feeling. But coming back to the people where I was introduced to the faith, and that cared for me while I was in prison, that was it. I love everything about it. The liturgy, the coffee hour we have, the introvert room.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's nothing there's nothing that can separate the love for all of it. It's a whole.